The matter of social status, hierarchy of occupations, has vexed higher education in multiple ways. It has significantly influenced the public perception of vocational education and thus the choices that students make in higher education. There is no gainsaying the fact that vocational education has been less desirable to students making these choices. The situation is in urgent need of change. Vocational education must become an attractive option for students to choose from. This is crucial for the well-being of millions of people joining and already in the workforce. It is equally important for the national economy. This policy takes decisive actions, both in the immediate and long term, to address this matter. It is indeed an honor for us to have with us the very person who has been intricately involved in drafting the policy, especially with respect to a fresh approach to vocational education. It is my proud privilege to introduce to the august gathering Dr. Biswajit Saha, Director, Trainings and Skill Education, CBSE. Dr. Saha manages the works of skill education, skill curriculum design, development of student resource books and training manuals, and monitors the execution of various teachers training programs by 16 CBSE Center of Excellences. He also represents CBSE in various national and international committees. Prior to joining CBSE in 2011, Dr. Saha was faculty member and HOD, CSE, at the Government Engineering College, Agartala, where he served as OSD, Technical Education, Government of Tripura, and worked with Tripura Central University and NIC, Government of India, in various capacities. Dr. Saha has handled execution of various developmental projects of World Bank, AICTE, UGC, and MEITY. He has actively participated in drafting of NVEQF, NSQF, notified by MHRD and MSDE in 2012 and 2013, respectively. He drives promotion of future skill in schools with strong industry association and oversees digital education movement under Vidya Dan at Diksha. A very, very warm welcome, Dr. Saha. We are eagerly awaiting to hear from you. Mrs. Rashmi Chari, Education and Training Consultant with our Center of Curriculum Pedagogy and Assessment, shall now lead the proceedings. I hand over to Mrs. Rashmi Chari.
Thank you so much, Mr. Sethi. And once again, a very warm welcome to Dr. Saha and the members of management of the Bluebells Society. Dr. Saha, you know, while going through the NEP document, one feels that vocational and skill education is the biggest thrust area of this document. And all major reforms, whether it is pedagogical restructuring or experiential hands-on pedagogy, and even competency-based assessment, all emanate from this. However, despite numerous efforts by Government of India in the last decade, till date, vocational education and skill training is a bit of a non-starter in the private schools of India. And NEP acknowledges this openly. What do you think, Dr. Saha, has been the reason for students and parents thinking that vocational and skill education is not good enough for them? This attitude has, in fact, in the past, nixed this amazing provision that was meant to reap us rich demographic dividends. How do you intend to remove this perceived social hierarchy in school education and make vocational education and skill training more acceptable this time around, Dr. Saha? Over to you.
Very relevant questions, but having multiple components. So first of all, thank you for inviting me, Madam Sethi, and all the distinguished principal, and of course Rashmi ji. It's my privilege to be here with you. Now, coming back to this, your specific question, I think NEP had formulated the reality, and of course, given us the opportunity how we can transform, and especially the stake. If we look into the private schools stake in India, is over a period of last decade, it is getting increased every year, and maybe present 50 to 55% by over a span of coming 10 years, it can reach up to I believe till 65%, because that momentum we can definitely see. So in the education space, the performance and involvement and initiations of this kind of new initiative of the government actually need to be tried by the private schools. Now, over a period of time, it is because of the typical mindset and easy of doing business. Somewhere down the line, the school management thought, and of course, with respect to the availability of skilled teachers, school management thought, okay, the availability of MSc Physics, MA History is really available in the market, wherever school, because it is a rural India or metros, everywhere, these kind of qualification sets are readily available. Now, school management feels it is quite easy for them to appoint this kind of candidate. And over a period of times, we set this kind of nomenclature in the parents' mind. It is not on their own they have thought of putting only on academic interventions. Rather, we put in this way. So, a best private schools in the country, whatever subjects it is offering, it is being followed by the affordable private schools. Now, on the contrary, if the government schools, a model government schools like KB model or JNB model, or even the state government's model, if that is being followed by the private or parents, I think it's a big question. So that itself driving the education, the way the private school management is thinking, because the aspiration model with reference to the parents and neighborhood concept is really driving this kind of mindset. And over a period of time, despite of our ancient and India's Gurukul strong vocational penetrations, but over a period of time, I think we somewhere differently we have showcased the talent, methodology, and acquisitions, everything. So that's the one of the main reasons of that acknowledgement in NEP. Number two, here the situation and scenario in private schools, the way you have put the question, it is not exactly the reality. Maybe 5 years back, the data is of that situations. But now, even in CBSE spectrum, more than 8,000 schools are offering skill-based course at secondary level. So 8,000 out of 22,000. In 2012, it was zero at secondary level. We started only with 112 schools. So now it is 8,000. So, and in among these 8,000, major strata is with the private schools. So I believe that mindset to transformations and present reality is giving different indications. Please unmute.
Thank you so much, Dr. Saha. And it is such a wonderful thing to know that almost 1/3 of the schools have opted for it. And I know this is due to your tireless efforts. My next question, Dr. Saha, is that NEP 2020 proposes to do things differently this time by reimagining vocational education and skill building to make it an attractive option for all students, including urban India's middle and upper classes. so that they voluntarily opt for it. One of the steps would be to introduce courses that are in demand in the job market. However, we can still see that there is a huge gap in the demand of the skilled human resources and the opportunities of skill training available to young Indians. Can you tell us that this time around, which new sectors of the Indian economy have been brought into the gambit of vocational education and skill training by CBSE?
Okay. So there are not a single area we are focusing. Rather, of course, technology transformation is one area which we are trying to drive. Besides this, the BFSI sector, the banking, finance, insurance, this particular sector has a huge potential. And over a period of time, I think this is going to be a booming area. The way IT has seen some certain kind of revolutions and especially the manpower requirement globally. Similarly, the BFSI sector. Of course, the pandemic situation is showcasing that differently. The other area is hospitality and tourism. So again, India and globally, the way the households are aspiring to move here and there, so these particular industries also require huge manpower. So these two areas, besides IT and ITS and new technology transformation area, we can definitely focus upon. And we are already offering courses in this area, rather not a single course, again multiple courses, starting from financial market management, banking, insurance. So this kind of course we are already offering. Now, through your forum, I am requesting and appealing all the school management and principal, because your present subject combination is restricted, especially for the commerce student. It is restricted only with the business studies, accountancy, and economics. I think these nomenclature need to be changed. I don't want to undermine these three subjects. You keep these three subjects, put one language, and in addition, the fifth elective must be any one of these BFSI sector. Because if you look into your last 12 years data, where maybe from the all elite schools as well as from the affordable schools, many students end up with engineering plus MBA, BCom plus MBA. Now you look into their specializations in MBA, either it is marketing, finance, HR, so and systems. Now all those key area, whatever the curriculum, and this curriculum we have designed with the help of all industry experts. Now, those nomenclature is very much there in class 11 and 12, and to some extent that sensitizations, if we can really gear up their mindset from class 9 itself, then no matter whether they are pursuing their career in that field, but the idea of managing individuals' own money would be more essential. And that's why the financial literacy, even if you look into the OECD documents, so their concept paper also very much focused upon these should be treated as a part of the life skills. So, but we in most of the schools, maybe 60% schools, we are undermining these skills. Rather, we want that curriculum, whatever that NCERT and CBSE's curriculum with reference to the 5 core subject, that is completing the education. In reality, it is no. So my humble submission and appeal that you can rethink, and I think reimaginations with that reference is more valid.
Absolutely, Dr. Saha. The schools need to rethink about these options. One question that actually comes from the students is that can you please tell us if vocational and skill courses can be a serious option to pursue for the top scorers or the brightest minds of the school? What kind of vocational and skill courses would be suitable for them, especially students who aspire to be entrepreneurs and dream of billion-dollar successful Indian startups similar to the likes of Ola, Byju's, Swiggy, Zomato, Udan, Oyo, Paytm? Students dream about this. So Dr. Saha, will your skill courses give our students the entrepreneurial and domain-related skills for this?
Let me take the criticisms other way. are we really putting that kind of ability to our curriculum transaction process where students get some time to think, some time to innovate, and some time to do certain concept of business? I think the curriculum load balancing need to be redefined again and again. Of course, for that, I may not blame the policy or I may not blame the system. Rather, it is with the individual school, it is with the individual teacher, how they can make the education transactions more interesting. Now, with respect to the typical curriculum, whatever we are offering in the schools, there is a lot of scopes. It may not require to put a additional vocational subjects, but that multidisciplinary approach itself can create ignitions in the student's mind to think for some business or entrepreneur venturing. So many schools, because I witness many private schools and some government schools, including KBJNB, even some state schools also, taken very positive initiative to promote that project-based learning. And they are that gifted student, so-called that talented students, are really showcasing amazing areas of interventions and new business idea. So maybe the phenomenal curriculum boundary is limited, but it has the scope to promote this kind of interventions. Now, with reference to your specific question, I think the gifted children has more potential to perform, and they can now, with the ambit of our internet age, at least students are getting opportunity to research so many components of life, including the business idea and business idea too. And many TV shows also are being promoted in Indian television industries or even the foreign television industries. So that way the global platform is actually encouraging them to think with that idea. Now, only problem is that we are not giving them that opportunity because we are restricting them with reference to the marks, with reference to the higher educational admission. Now, ambition need to be embedded in terms of aspiration. And here, if some maybe social problem, let us think of a social problem and social problem to a business idea. How one can think in that level. So in the real classroom, maybe in class 6, 7, 8, maybe it may create a controversy, but let me openly tell you, you can really gear up the idea of curriculum transactions and differently, that means adapted way you can propose, and you leave it to the teacher. But monitoring mechanisms may be there to some extent. So suppose in a classroom, you one need to teach IT or social science, give 15 days to teach only that subjects. And you experiment with one batch, and all social problem with respect to entrepreneurships and business idea within this 15 days, how it can be integrated and what the young children are thinking in that dimension. You ask them to give some business idea, and I am sure that you will be rather surprised with their presentation skill. So your language skills, speaking and writing skills with reference to the presentations or business ideas and proposal, because these things I have seen some sort of incubations and mentoring with the help of some industry. In 2012-13, I have experimented these things in a few schools. I think in Delhi and around 20-30 schools, and some schools from NCR, including the government schools of I remember that is Chandni Chowk area, one government girls schools. I can tell you the Rabia girls schools. So there, the business idea from that young children are really, in fact, in that forum, I have requested those global organizations, you can rather help them to set up a business incubations model, unlike which are there in IIT and other institute. So that way, the synergy can be established. So they are all talented students can really do wonders. And in fact, the peers learning, number two, and number three, their progressions level with respect to the higher education and chances of getting admissions in foreign university would be so high with this kind of interventions.
Dr. Saha, these are absolutely amazing ideas that you have shared with them, and a lot of food for thought, not only for teachers and principals, but for managements also. That how new education, a new future can be built up for the children through new classroom processes and a lot of freedom and latitude to teachers and children. That's absolutely wonderful. Now I'll come to the pathways that vocational students have in higher education. Till now, one of the major challenges faced by vocational students has been absence of opportunities for vertical mobility of students into higher education. And the problem was that vocational students were not even considered for admission to regular academic courses in the colleges. However, NEP 2020 talks about integration between vocational and academic streams. Please tell us how this challenge has been met by NEP and what are the new vocational pathways that have been created into higher education.
I think that issue is discussed at length at many forums, and in fact, this is a problem for school principal also to promote vocational education in school. This is the hard truth reality. Now, aspirations to reality, that transition is also another bottleneck for of the system. But as a optimistic persons, I see the future, and rather in reality, many university, including Delhi University, जिसके लिए I think NCR बेल्ट से सारे schools का बच्चे लोग aspire करते हैं दिल्ली यूनिवर्सिटी का regular program में admission लेने के लिए. So Delhi University are also, rather it has already started offering Bachelor of Vocational course, and the area, whatever we are offering at school level and especially at +2 level, the students who have opted this kind of subjects, they are going to get a special weightage in the BVOC admission. But of course, there is a confusion with respect to physics honors or chemistry honors, whether the vocational subjects of retail is going to get a equal weightage or not. So that is a big question. At present, answer could be, I will switch over from yes to no or no to yes. I will toggle. But at the same time, the Delhi University's policy says 3 subjects out of best 4, 3 subjects should be academic and 1 they can consider as a vocational subject. So out of the best 4. And some college independent admission committee may be taking it differently, but many of our students are also getting admission in that way. And similarly in Ambedkar University, they are also giving a special weightage for the BVOC programs, and especially those who are completing the vocational courses. Now, coming back to your hospitality and tourism area, again, the NTA-led admission test, there is a specific component on that subject, what we are offering at senior secondary level. So that means students who are taking these subjects, or rather who has already opted these subjects, they know that that's a special weightage in terms of questions they are going to get in the entrance test. So automatically, the students who are coming with the political science, history, and other subject combinations, they and the students who have opted food productions or front office operations, they will have more edge than that of the other student. Okay. Similarly, if you look into our fashion related and design related institutes like if you look into the NID admission test or NIFT admission test, that test is actually typically designed for those students who are actually inclined or having a specific aptitude to pursue BDES or Bachelor of Fashion Design and Fashion Technology. So there again, if you look into the parameters set in the entrance paper and the subjects whatever we are offering at +2 level, there is a synergy. Means students who are inclined to pursue this career, many of our private schools are offering painting as a subject, but not design as a subject. In a forum, we discuss about the design thinking, design, all those big shot, and many of our leaders are also promoting these things. But in their own school, design as a subjects are not being introduced so far. And here, the clear-cut biasness with reference to the vocational and academic are being showcased in the school platform. So NEP talks about no clear-cut distinctions between these subjects. So it will float at same trajectory. Ultimately, that multidisciplinary approach in tomorrow's, maybe after 2 years, the admission strata of your BSc, BA or BCom or BTech, then there could be a huge change. Unlike your European country, and especially in Germany, without biology also one can aspire for MBBS admission. So that kind of synergy we need to create. Here, of course, the populations and other parameters in terms of challenges with respect to teachers and all would be there. But at the same time, there is a huge scope. Maybe in a piecemeal manner, you can try out 1 or 2 subjects in your premises without investing much. Rather, the hub model would be more applicable here, hub of learning model. You can encash, and CBSE is giving that opportunity to you all. Fine.
Yeah, yes. Dr. Saha, what you have said, next question will take off from there only. I actually get your point when you say that we are offering painting, but we are not offering design. But this could also be due to, lack of, maybe a perceived lack of teachers by the students, by the schools. My concern is actually numbers. The recent statistics tell us that India has 15 lakh schools, which is 3 times the number of schools in China, making it the highest number of schools in any nation world over. After this ambitious launching that you have made of skill education, and skill education is to begin right from class 6 to class 12. Do you think we have enough teachers, trainers, coaches for these purposes? While things sound very attractive and inspirational in the NEP document, but ground realities can be quite worrying, and maybe this is the reason why principals are not offering many skill courses. So can you throw some light and guide our principals how to manage this faculty issue or constraint?
Believe me, if you want to opt out, or if you do not want to implement anything, then these kind of excuses are there. The basket is ready, so you just pull out one after one, and then you can showcase. Both, it is equally applicable for both principal as well as school management. But I am giving you the real-time solutions.
Okay.
You may agree, or you may think of putting it forward. Now you see, all the time it is not necessary to appoint a separate teacher, create a separate infrastructure, because all these vocational skills are going to sustain for 3 to 5 years, or maybe at the max 8 years. But permanency in your school systems, what we conceptualize, once appointed teachers means retired. A history teacher will retire as a history teacher at 60 years.
Yeah.
I think here we need to intervene, both school management and principal, because every individual teacher has a different potential. So now we are engaging them only for a specific purpose. Now, this is the first intervention where that multiplicity of potential can be unleashed. Number two, with reference to infrastructure, may not require all the time to create infrastructure at your own home, means your own school. You look into the neighborhood. In one of my last conversations with ministries and other forum, I have categorically mentioned. So maybe in Haryana, there are good number of engineering college, university, both government, central, private, state. Then you have number of ITA, number of hospitality and media related institute, fashion related institute. Now, how far we interact with them? We feel our boundary is very much protected, and we CBSE affiliated schools are happily managing the show for last several decades. And we have some different kind of prestige in the community because every leader, whether it is political or higher educational institute, their kids' admission is actually managed by our good schools. So that means they are coming to you, we are not going to them. I think that reciprocal atmosphere we need to create. And that will create a coherence between the institute and industry. They may have a strong industry connection, you may not. Even if you think of the bank, you have in Gurgaon or Panipat, Ambala, in every area, there are hundreds of banks. Other than our accounting business, every schools are having a good association with chartered accountant, because your CBSE's bylaw demand that every year your accounting should be done by CA. How many times you have invited that CA to give or share an experience with the student? So all the time it is not required to be ventured out only by your career counselor. So you need to coordinate and create a coherence between the institute, individual, industry. Then your boundary will be beyond 2 acres. Your boundary will be the district. Your boundary will be the state. And ultimately that feelers will go to the entire nation. Are we ready today to do that experiment? If we are ready, then whatever that mindset or declining, it is a vocational subject, as 90 and above percentage students, principal recommend. I have several data because I interact with the parents, teacher, principal. So I get the data. I want to understand. I am still learning where is the actual problem lies. Learning complete नहीं हुआ मेरा. तो वहाँ पे पेरेंट्स आके मेरे पास बोल रहे हैं दिल्ली का एक अच्छा स्कूल में the student got 10 CGPA out of 10 is the case of 2013 I am narrating. दिल्ली का एक अच्छा स्कूल में वो एडमिशन के लिए गया है. प्रिंसिपल और पेरेंट्स इज आल्सो वेरी इन्फ्लुएंशियल. तो गया है, जाने का बाद तो अच्छा खासा खातिरदारी हुआ है. फिर मार्कशीट देखा, हाँ हम तो एडमिशन करा देंगे. अच्छा मार्क्स ए है तो ठीक है. नेचुरल इंक्लिनेशंस हमने जो डेवलप किया, इवन प्रिंसिपल फ्रॉम ह्यूमैनिटीज बैकग्राउंड वो भी बोलते हैं नहीं ये बच्चा तो साइंस के लिए बहुत अच्छा होगा, बिकॉज इट्स रिपोर्ट कार्ड इज शोइंग दैट विदाउट जजिंग द एप्टीट्यूड्स. मे बी मार्क्स अच्छा है मींस ही इज मेंट फॉर साइंस ओनली. और सीबीएसई का स्कूल का 10+2 में साइंस का ही मैक्सिमम स्कूल में है. आर्ट्स और कॉमर्स सारी सीबीएसई 10+2 में नहीं भी है. वो डेटा वो भी रिवील करता है. तो अभी पेरेंट्स बोल रहे हैं नहीं आपका स्कूल में मेरा आने का एक स्पेसिफिक पर्पस है, बिकॉज इन द नेबरहुड मैं जहाँ रह रहा हूँ वहाँ पे सिर्फ आप ही का स्कूल एक स्पेसिफिक वोकेशनल सब्जेक्ट ऑफर कर रहा है और इसलिए मैं आया हूँ बच्चे को एडमिशन कराने के लिए. तो अल्टीमेटली प्रिंसिपल ने वेलकम किया है और एडमिशन किया है, बिकॉज पेरेंट एंड स्टूडेंट वाज एडमेंट on that subject combination. बोला मैं पुराना स्कूल 10th वाला चेंज कर रहा हूँ only because of that factor. तो पेरेंट्स ऐसा भी है, and the same parents interacted with me and given this that feedback. तो ये भी मेरे लिए लर्निंग है. That means by and large हम लोग एक पर्टिकुलर एरिया को प्रमोट कर रहा है, और वो प्रमोट करके कहाँ जा रहा है वो भी हमको देखना है।
Absolutely, Dr. Saha.
वो भी इंजीनियरिंग करने के बाद मैनेजमेंट में आ रहा है। मैं इंजीनियरिंग डिग्री को अंडरमाइन नहीं कर रहा हूँ, बट इंजीनियरिंग का करने के बाद कंट्रीब्यूशन क्या है, तो ठीक है। तो अभी ये माइंडसेट परिवर्तन के लिए दैट सोशल अपलिफ्टमेंट ऑफ माइंड जरूरी है आज का तारीख में, और वो प्रिंसिपल, स्कूल मैनेजमेंट, टीचर जो कर सकते हैं, हम एक रिमोट राउज एवेन्यू में बैठ के नहीं कर सकते हैं। यू हैव टू टेक द लीड रोल।
Dr. Saha, you have said so many wonderful things in this answer, and actually what you mean is that हम लोग 21st century की इतनी बातें करते हैं, but we have still not stepped into 21st century. We have to step, we have to break our mindsets, come out of our silos, and actually start networking with all around. हम लोग जो CBSE एफिलेटेड स्कूल्स एक अपने टावर में बैठते हैं, आइवरी टावर्स, वहां से हमें बाहर आना है, एंड विद एवरीबॉडी, वेदर इट इज नेबरहुड स्कूल्स, वेदर इट इज other institutions, we have to create synergy with all of them. Such a wonderful thing you said, that we don't have to create infrastructure, we have to just use up the infrastructure around us. This is absolutely an eye-opener of an answer. Thank you so much. My next question is about partnership with industry. So best kind of vocational skill courses are an outcome of government or school and industry partnership in designing, delivery and delivering courses, and eventually absorbing the trained human resource. Will the schools now be expected to work in close partnership with industry, meaning apprenticeship and internship for students, etc., from 9th to 12th? Is it so?
I will ask from 6 onwards. Who stopped? Because you have raised the earlier questions, how we can think of entrepreneurship journey, startup के लिए ओला का example दिया है. But now it is high time. If you compare the thought process, the problem solving aptitudes, अगर हम शुरू से ही देना start करें, I think that would be a wonderful idea. जरूरी नहीं है, because NEP talks about bagless day. Yes. Now, how you are going to encourage this? No, मैं तो हर फोरम में बोलता हूँ, इफ किसी को अगर गिटार बजाना अच्छा लगता है, उसको खुला छोड़ दो एक महीना के लिए क्लास 6-7 में, वो सिर्फ गिटार ही बजाए, एक म्यूजिक रूम आप उसके लिए एलोकेट कर दीजिए, उसको बाकी क्लास करने का कोई आवश्यकता नहीं है। साल में 12 महीना है, अगर 10 महीना भी आप क्लास करा रहे हो, अगर एक महीना छोड़ के 9 months if he or she join your class, it is sufficient in class 6.
Achha.
So similarly, if individual has inclinations of IT, app development and other areas, free him. किसी को फुटबॉल खेलना अच्छा लगता है, free him for 1 month. Then your classroom size out of 40 will come down to 30. And every month, 10 students will roll out as per their interest. And that will create a positive synergy. Jo, I heard one gentleman, you know, Dr. B.M. Hegre, Padma Vibhushan, he was Vice Chancellor of Manipal Medical University. Yes. इन्होंने एक स्कूल लीडर्स का फोरम में, I was present, he asked me in the forum, बोले डॉक्टर शाह, आपका स्कूल को can't we imagine as a ice cream parlor? बच्चे लोग आना चाहेंगे. How do you visualize this? He put these questions to me in a forum. So I realized, actually, बच्चे लोगों को अगर फन देना है, that you can. और CBSE का नाम पे आपको कुछ नहीं करना है, because that autonomy very much there. It is you to decide. Of course, parents को confidence में लेना पड़ेगा. Otherwise, पड़ोसी का बच्चा का मैथ्स मार्क्स 88 आ रहा है और वो 43 मिला है, वो एक पीरियोडिक असेसमेंट का बाद प्रिंसिपल एंड स्कूल एकेडमिक कोऑर्डिनेटर में फेस सम म्यूजिक. तो इसको पेरेंट्स को भी आपको कॉन्फिडेंस में लेना पड़ेगा that your children has a positive inclinations towards that. And nowadays in every area best होना तो पड़ेगा, but you have to have different शॉक एब्जॉर्बर ऑल्सो, अगर ये नहीं हुआ यू हैव टू हैव द बैकअप प्लान। तो ये बैकअप प्लान में ऑटोमेटिक तैयार हो जाएगा बच्चा। और 21st सेंचुरी स्किल्स के लिए जो जिस तरह से वर्ल्ड इकोनॉमिक फोरम एंड अदर फ्यूचर जॉब्स के लिए जिस तरह से शोकेस किया गया है, उसमें एक कोड डिसिप्लिन may not give everything. So one should be ready for learning, future learning. वो लर्निंग कैपेबिलिटी आज का तारीख में आप कितना भी असेसमेंट कर लो, लर्निंग कैपेबिलिटी हमारा कम होता जा रहा है ओवर ए पीरियड ऑफ टाइम। नाउ इंडस्ट्री, आपका जो मेन क्वेश्चन था, इंडस्ट्री का साथ स्कूल का एक एसोसिएशन स्लोली हो सकता है। मैं बैंक का एग्जांपल दे रहा हूँ, बैंक का बैंकिंग ऑपरेशंस कैसे हो रहा है। आप नेबरहुड 3-4 बैंक, बोथ प्राइवेट एंड गवर्नमेंट बैंक का ऑपरेशन दिखाने के लिए 6 के बच्चे को एक सेक्शंस को आपने भेजा है एसबीआई को, दूसरा सेक्शंस को भेजा है आपने एचडीएफसी बैंक, और तीसरा कनाडा बैंक। तो दैट वे, तो उस बैकलेस डे का 2 दिन आप या 1 दिन सिर्फ बैंकिंग ऑपरेशन कैसे होता है 10-10 बच्चे को आप भेज सकते हो। सिमिलरली मॉल में रिटेलर क्या कर रहा है, हायर लेवल लोअर लेवल अपॉर्चुनिटी क्या है, यू कैन सेंड। तो इसके लिए क्या करना पड़ेगा, हो सकता है जो आपका नेबरहुड में फ्यूचर रिटेल्स का या पेंटालून का मैनेजर का बच्चा आपका स्कूल में पढ़ रहा है, प्रिंसिपल चाय पे बुला के अगर बोलेगा मैं 30 बच्चा ये हफ्ता भर में भेजेंगे एवरी ऑल्टरनेटिव डे, आप दिखाएंगे, वो खुशी से आपको ऑफर देंगे, आपको चाहे तो हम लेके जाएंगे। That's the beauty। तो रिलेशन बिल्डअप में छोटा-छोटा इंटरवेंशन जरूरी है। एंड सीबीएसई का तरफ से बड़ा भी सोचा जा रहा है, जैसे वी आर एसोसिएटेड एआई प्रोग्राम एंटायरली, इट इज सीबीएसई का प्रोग्राम, स्टैंड अलोन नहीं है, इट इज एआई वी हैव डेवलप्ड विद इंटेल एंड आईबीएम, नाउ वी आर वर्किंग विद माइक्रोसॉफ्ट, so they are the world leader in technology। So if those companies are coming forward to help and to integrate technology in school curriculum, that means there is a huge potential in that area। So and similarly if you look into as I mentioned hotel management and financial market ke liye we are working with National Stock Exchange। So it is one of the biggest stock exchange, we are working with Bombay Stock Exchange also। So that gives the positive impact, okay, there is a requirement and we as in a supply chain we are going to fulfill this area। So there is opportunity, huge opportunity। only thing आपको प्रिंसिपल को और स्कूल मैनेजमेंट को अदर देन इंटरनल मैनेजमेंट मंथली 2 दिन आपको बाहर आना पड़ेगा, इंडस्ट्री और लोकल दूसरे लोगों को, बिसाइड्स योर सहोदया एंड अदर प्रोग्रेसिव कम्युनिटी, you have to have interactions with different stakeholders। I think that itself will, within 3 months you will get a positive result if you are going to think on these ideas।
Absolutely wonderful। We not only have to reimagine vocational education, we have to reimagine the functioning of our schools।
Yes।
How as principals and managements we perceive our schools, what kind of networks we create with the society and industry, and how many opportunities it will open up for our students। Dr. Sawa, do have a glass of water while I read out the next question। So Bologna Conference made 47 nations across the world, including India, bring out or create the National Skills Qualification Framework। Government of India has made it mandatory for central and state governments to align not only their vocational and skill courses, but their recruitment policies with NSQF। It is also said that NSQF certifications will be valid for recruitment not only in India, but world over। And students will be able to seek employment in any part of the globe on the basis of their NSQF qualification certificate। My request, Dr. Saha, is please explain us the whole purpose of NSQF, and does it have any relevance to vocational courses in the school? Those classes 9 to 12th courses, are they going to be as per NSQF? Please tell us that।
Yeah, I think NSQF came in 2013, earlier this NBEQF in 2012 and NCF 2005।
Yes।
But some way our school systems is still date following NCF 2005. Of course, a positive interventions of your NSQF 2013 is very much there. The way promoted the vocational course, that is actually now as per NSQF. Now, in that particular Balloon conference, what happened? Uh, there was I think one UN paper school principals can look into. There was a regional transitions of qualifications. That is, the appropriate term would be transnational qualifications framework. Means in India, if 10 plus 2, how it is equated in the USA or in your Korea. So that transnational equivalence, that particular conference's emphasis, okay, regional conference and regional qualifications pack and network, so that one can fit into others without havoc policy intervention. So it is a broad policy framework where 47 countries had agreed, okay, I am going to accommodate your qualification, you accommodate my qualification, so that the demographic dividend advantage, Indian skilled manpower can easily migrate to their country for the work purpose, for the education purpose. So all those methodology framework are being consulted in that conference, and as an outcome, as Indian government also placed NSQF, and there are several committee being constituted by the Ministry of Skill with the European Union and others. I also fortunately attended a few of them. So they are that framework transition, and especially for the translational qualification, and even besides the ILO, also created a framework so that the labor migrations and labor transitions from one country to other country happen. Now, with reference to the Indian education systems, here new NEP is actually going to be translated by new NCF. Now, the new NCF is now, it is high time that NSQF recommendations are going to be subsumed at new NCF, so that at the school per se, the principal need not to think otherwise. Okay, NCF itself is going to give a framework. Okay, at class 9 level, now we are binded with specific 5 subjects, and vocational we are offering as an additional 6 subject at secondary level. At senior secondary level, of course, there is opportunity. One language and any 4 vocational or 3 academic, 2 vocational, 4 academic, 1 vocational, whatever model if you follow, that itself becomes a scheme. But at 9-10, that model is somewhat confusing. So maybe new NCF is going to drive us in a manner that the school will going to have a flexibility to give 2 vocational subjects and 3 academic subjects even in class 9. So let us wait for that recommendation. Then there would be a positive synergy with NSQF, and of course there is a specific agenda on National Higher Education Qualification Framework also. So NSQF to NCF, and NCF will also make a easy transition with National Higher Education Qualification Framework. So the backbone NSQF will drive all 3. Then ultimately the easy flow from class 1 to master's program, and both in academic, skill and higher technical, all areas will be clubbed together, and a real multidisciplinary approach is going to be showcased by both NCF and National Higher Education Qualification Framework.
Absolutely wonderful. That new NCF is going to subsume the NSQF so that principals will not have to refer to too many documents.
Especially for the school education component. I'm not talking about the other area.
True. And you have already answered my next question, which was about NHEQF. So I'll move on to the next question now, Dr. Saha. You know, currently school sector is reeling under the impact of COVID-19. And the schools do not really have funds to make big investments in vocational education. Are there any funds that the Government of India aims to disperse among private schools for promotion of this particular major educational reforms? Is the Vocational Education Inclusion Fund provided in NEP meant for this purpose, Dr. Saha?
It's difficult for me to comment at this stage because of the pandemic situations. Also, there is a visible financial crunch at multiple level because the government fiscal deposits and other areas are rather going to different interventions, rather that also especially for health and other basic necessity are being taken care by the both state and union government and differently. But in case of vocationalization and especially for the private schools, there are different scheme. Of course, we are trying to discuss with multiple donor like World Bank and other agency, so that some way, even if it comes to the government schools or private schools, through that hub of learning, or rather, we are now proposing hub of skill excellence.
Okay.
Hub of skill excellence. So maybe the five private schools or one government schools or five private schools, whatever the clusters of schools concept is there, if we can come together, and even if the funding goes to the government schools or private schools, it meant for all.
Yeah.
So that way, definitely, the private schools are also going to get the benefit without creating the infrastructure on their own. They can utilize the infrastructure otherwise. So that thought process is very much there, and maybe very soon we may come up with this kind of positive news. But we have to wait because the government economy and other areas need to be stable over a period of coming 1 or 2 years. But of course, government has that provision of funding the government schools, and they are that through cluster that benefit definitely extended to all the private schools.
So by sharing the resources, even at the government schools, we can optimize the resources and even the private schools can benefit from it. That's a wonderful idea. Dr. Saha, I was going through the CBSE's website and especially the Department of Skill Education. I could see that you have already put out the skill courses from class 6 onwards for session 2021. Circulars have been sent to school to register for the courses. I must say it was a pleasant surprise to see not only curriculum, instructional materials, sample question papers, but online teachers training workshops began in August 2020. So tell me, how has been the response of the schools to your new set of courses launched this year?
Will be surprised this year, despite of COVID,
Yes.
we have received 4,436 applications
That's wonderful.
to introduce skill course at middle level. And again, let me compliment the private schools community. Out of 4,436, maybe more than 3,400 applications are from the private schools.
That's
So
absolutely
it's across the country, including the foreign schools also, they are also geared up. And in fact, last year, let me also tell you, one Indian schools in Muscat, which is accommodating more than 10,000 students, they have started 12 vocational course at senior secondary level last year. 12 at a time.
How wonderful.
So
How wonderful.
school are positive, and I am thankful to all the private schools because they have showcased the interest. And number two, with reference to the sensitizations as well as online teachers training, both our normal teachers training through our 16th Center of Excellence, there is tremendous response. And we have conducted several free program, and also because we thought of conducting only free program, but in between we have surveyed certain things, of course online survey. There are many teachers, they join that free program, but उनका यूज केस हिस्ट्री जो डिजिटली हमारा पास आ रहा है, अच्छा ऑन करके म्यूट करके वो कुछ नहीं कर रहा है, तो participatory approach, that's why. Otherwise CBSE we do not have an intention of charging 100 rupees for certifications and all. So we actually taken these steps so that they become serious.
Yeah.
That is the main story behind that charging 100 rupees for all training.
Yeah.
But besides this, many free training also we are offering, and response is huge. And rather, I am personally thankful to both school management and all the principal who have joined us, or those who have even not joined us, because that's the leadership skills you are showing. Of course, individual interest of the teacher is very much there, but at the same time, you has actually you have geared up that momentum, and that's why within from April to September we have trained more than I think very soon we are touching 4 lakh teachers, 4 lakh teachers, and our usual capacity in physical training. Last year we trained around 1,97,000 physical training.
Oh, wonderful.
So, but this COVID 3 months, we are very soon, maybe by another 3-4 days, we are going to reach 4 lakh. So, if this way we can target, maybe by next year, we can cover all our teacher, at least 1 or 2 training. So, we are targeting in that way. So, similarly for skill also,
Yeah.
it is a demand driven. If some schools or group of schools come forward, okay, we want to introduce these subjects,
Yeah.
you send me WhatsApp message or send me a simple mail. We want to start from 2021. You train our this teacher. जरूरी नहीं है उसी subject का teacher हो. You as a principal, you feel my science teachers science teacher is competent to. किसी ने सोचा है TGT social science is competent to handle the tourism subjects. You nominate.
Okay.
So we'll train with the help of national level resource person, or even if need be international resource persons, wherever, and some joint effort also we can carry out.
We are definitely going to take you up on that, Dr. Saha. Private schools are never less on initiative, and they are the most proactive institutions. My last question to you, Dr. Saha, is a big lesson of COVID-19 and the fourth industrial revolution is to become Atmanirbhar Bharat. Do you think vocational and skill training has the potential to make our learners and inter alia Indian citizens Atmanirbhar? In the end, I request you to please guide our principals and teachers present here as to how can they inspire, groom, and prepare the successive generation of their learners to be Atmanirbhar Indians.
आत्मनिर्भर भारत के लिए एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप माइंडसेट होना जरूरी है. Be it individual parents, school principal, every teachers, where a few are thinking differently. हम सब लोगों का सोच, don't take it otherwise. I am also in the same trajectory. आप ही लोगों का तरह हम भी सोचते हैं. That means हमारा बच्चे लोगों के लिए what way we think. What is our aspirations? Let us question ourselves. अच्छा एजुकेशन लेने का बाद एक अच्छा कंपनी या गवर्नमेंट या how many parents are dreaming or like to see their children as a good businessman. तो सपना का आत्मनिर्भरता वहां पे मेरा ख्याल से एक कंफ्यूजन क्रिएट करते हैं. So it is we actually driving the dream of our children consciously or subconsciously. तो एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप माइंडसेट एक्चुअली सबसे पहले पेरेंट्स को होना चाहिए, और उसके लिए टीचर्स, स्कूल लीडर एंड स्कूल मैनेजमेंट कैन रियली टेक a pivotal role so that they can slowly transform their thinking from present days employment oriented thinking. Let me tell you, entire India अगर आप सर्वे करेंगे तो 80% पेरेंट्स का मुंह से, मैं आंकड़ा थोड़ा कम करके बोल रहा हूँ, रियलिटी में आप 95% पेरेंट्स बोलेंगे they are dreaming their children, even the first generation learner to all new sophisticated generations. सबका ड्रीम सर्विस सेंट्रिक है. और वही ड्रीम एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप्स के लिए सोचेगा नहीं. इफ somebody want to try, तो पीछे से धक्का देगा, तू गलत कर रहा है, you are wasting your time, better you join Google, better you join some TCS or some other good company in India, L&T or whatever, or good hotel industry. तो ये चीज है. I have seen, of course, very few examples. जो listed है वो तो सभी को पता है. In my student days, one person, I was there in Bangalore. That fellow, he did his BSc Hotel Management. वेस्ट बंगाल का एक स्मॉल टाउन में कुछ कैटरिंग करते थे, और उसका भाई वहां पे पढ़ने के लिए गया था. तो भाई का द्वारा he also, after when his brother was in second year, so he was my junior, and तब ये भी गए हैं. जाके हम लोगों का जो मैस हॉस्टल जहाँ जहाँ है, मैं जिस कॉलेज में पढ़ता था उन दिनों में, उस कॉलेज मैनेजमेंट का साथ बात करके तो कैटरिंग कॉन्ट्रैक्ट इन्होंने ले लिया है, छोटे से शुरू किया है. नाउ he is one of the best caterer in Bangalore. Wow. Number one. Similarly, one of my relatives, he did his again hotel management. I am categorically giving these two examples आत्मनिर्भर के लिए. और करने का बाद he used to work in Taj Kolkata. He worked for more than 12 years. Now he settled in Bhubaneswar. And जो KIT group of institutes है, उनका catering and other areas में he has a potential role. तो आत्मनिर्भरता छोटे से only dream होना है, because one can be happy with working with Taj or 5-star or 7-star hotel, that is with good package. I know one of my junior from Jadavpur University, he used to work for IBM. 4 years back he left, and now he set up a startup. Sitting in Bangalore, he's bringing business from America or other European country. Small scale. तो एक है peace life, standalone life, माने अच्छा कंपनी या गवर्नमेंट सिस्टम्स में काम कर रहे हैं. Even the teachers community के लिए मैं बोल रहा हूँ. Financial market में one of the best speaker from Chennai, he was a maths teacher in CBSE affiliated school. आजकल उसको सुनने के लिए you have to pay 1 lakh rupees उनका सेशन कराने के लिए. Because ये जो प्रिस्क्रिप्शन देने वाला है, that can help hundreds listener to earn 10 lakhs each after one session. So that's the, so teachers को भी entrepreneurship mindset में आना पड़ेगा. And that democratization as very much given by YouTube and other teachers को आजकल में every alternative day आपको नया YouTuber मिलेगा. Now in last week in my message some maths teachers is coming. तो मैथ्स एक लेडी टीचर अच्छा पढ़ा रहा. तो ये जो हुनर है ऑलरेडी स्कूल सिस्टम्स में है, बट आपको देश दुनिया सबको दिखाने के लिए वो है. मे बी आफ्टर 5 years, मे बी नाउ ही और शी मे बी एसोसिएटेड विद ए गुड स्कूल. 5 साल बाद बोलेगा मैं तो इस टाइम में 4 घंटा स्कूल में आने का बाद मैं 4 घंटा वीडियो शूट करके और ज्यादा कमा सकते हो. दैट इज आत्मनिर्भरता. तो आई थिंक इंडिविजुअल, स्टूडेंट, पेरेंट्स, टीचर सबके लिए एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप माइंडसेट के लिए एक स्कूल वाला. तो कितने स्कूल 15 साल पहले एक स्कूल था, अभी एक स्कूल से 15 स्कूल्स और ग्रुप ऑफ स्कूल्स, चेन ऑफ स्कूल्स. वो एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप तो उनसे भी सीखना है. तो बट मेरा ख्याल से चाहे वो सीनियर लीडर हो, उनको भी अपना एक्सपीरियंस इवन इन योर स्कूल सिस्टम्स, द स्कूल ओनर आल्सो must take some sessions, real-time sessions with the student, because their life is also inspiration for them.
Absolutely.
So that way we can slowly aim for the self-reliant or Atmanirbhar Bharat.
Absolutely. Dr. Saha, 3 years back, something similar, Steve Wozniak, the one who designed the Apple computer, that man said that where do Indians have time for creativity and innovation? They are busy jobs, they are busy chasing marks, then jobs, and then Mercedes car. So they have no time for this. So I think a big change has to be required. And that has to begin from parents. They have to start thinking not only of making their children secure and safe all the time, but that they should give them wings to fly and explore and experiment. Dr. Saha, you'll be so glad to know that Dr. Shankar Reddy, the chairman of our school, is present here. I will for a moment request Dr. Shankar Reddy to also say a few words before I hand over to Mrs. Preeti Puri for the final vote of thanks. Dr. Reddy, please. Sir. I think,
Sorry.
yeah, it's okay.
Hello, ma'am. Rashmi, I think he was not able to hear, so he joined the YouTube then.
That's okay. We
All
will
right.
hand over to Mrs. Preeti Puri now.
Yes,
She
yes.
is in charge of our Teacher Resource Center, Dr. Saha, and she'll be delivering the final vote of thanks.
Thank you so much, Rashmi. First of all, Dr. Saha, I really,
Oh,
before I give my vote of thanks to you, yeah,
Preeti,
I see
Preeti,
Dr. Shankar. Yeah,
yeah.
I see Dr. Reddy over here. Over
Yes, yes.
to Reddy.
Yes, yes. Thank you.
Ready? Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much. It's a good informative lecture. In fact, I found at one stage, questions are much better than the answers. I had my feeling that because as the school management, see, from the school point of view, how do we introduce the skill education at what level? My teachers, and as per my, of course, I have an experience now with the schooling. Earlier, as the principal of a college and the university vice chancellor, at different levels, you could add at the college and university level as the add-on courses. Because, as you rightly put it, Delhi University, out of 4 subjects, 3 are relevant subjects. One is the skill subject can be introduced. But coming to schools, in my opinion, they must identify the aptitude of a student at the 8th class. If he is interested to go to agriculture after his 12th class, if he says that my interest is to go to agriculture, have certain programs, identify and then make some group of such students who want to go to animal husbandry or agriculture or a doctor or an engineer. Accordingly, then develop the skills in 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th class we have the examination. Soon after that, they would go into the skill programs institution. Now, skill universities are coming, skilled colleges openly are coming up in that. My opinion is, how do we, rightly Mrs. Chari said, now the COVID situation, the government says, don't collect transportation fees, don't collect tuition fees. On the same time, at the same time, the government says you pay full salaries to the teachers, give them transport allowance. From where do we get it? And when you are introducing the skill programs, this is the question to the government sooner. And Chari will submit the project details, that's what we agreed upon, to the government, how we conduct the project development courses for the teachers, for the school, for the principal, for the management also. So that we need to develop finances. Any course skill program we are introducing, put minimum. Don't put it 25,000 or 30,000. Put a minimum, maybe 2,000 for one course. So 10 students, 20,000 you collect. Identify the teachers initially from your own institution who can teach that, or borrow someone on the monthly basis. But this is how the skill programs must develop. You know,
Yes.
the ideology is excellent, but implementation comes in principle. How do the school management develop the resources? How do we satisfy the teachers? They put their efforts into that. Thank you very much, Dr. Saha. A wonderful thing from your side as the director of the CBSE. The programs are too good. At the college level, what we do, see, we put up some 25 courses, skill programs listed. Any student can opt one in that one. There is nothing like this is a particular course you should do. A choice is given to students at the college level and at the school level. And then we explain to the parent, this is what we are going to provide to your child. You contribute, we contribute, government will contribute for that one. Make your career successful. Thank you very much, Sushma, and for your wonderful way of presenting. And Manju Sethi, good program you have conducted. I was keen to hear all that. Initially, the voice was too low. I could not hear on my iPad, so I went into my cell phone, and the YouTube it came much better. The voice. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. Preeti, over to you.
Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Reddy. I think the challenge for us is to find the perfect marriage with what Dr. Saha has spoken to us on and what Dr. Reddy questions. Before I actually go on to give the formal vote of thanks, as a school's guidance counselor also, Dr. Saha, I think this session has been just amazing. I really don't have words to express it, and probably do it, I'll take as long. Present today, privileged to be asked to propose a vote of thanks on today's very significant webinar on reimagining vocational education and skill building for learners. The sweeping wave of industrial demands across all sectors included the rapid advancement of information technology and its cascade, like IoT, AI, and robotics. Further, globalization and COVID have led to a major structure in the global economy and reorganization of multi-skilled trained manpower. To mention a few, as Dr. Saha said, look at the opportunities come retail, supply chain, logistics, food industry. The list is endless. The demographic can be a valuable enterprise for the country, provided he is ready to recruit cohorts trained on skills that would sustain them through the turbulent global changes that markets and industries are witnessing. It is expected that around 50 to 70 million jobs will be created in India in the post-COVID period. And around 75 to 90% of these additional avenues will require some vocational skill training. Today, even the man who comes from Amazon to deliver our goods is expected to have some soft skills. We expect it even as customers. The national education policy is a far-sighted, broad-based document that envisions an education system that will contribute directly to transforming India sustainably into an equitable, vibrant knowledge society by providing high-quality education to all. Friends, it takes a little time for us to take a moment here and think, how do we define education? Is it science, humanities, and commerce, or is it something beyond that? For as long as educationists, we have focused, and rightly so, on student potential. But today, I must say, schools most definitely have their role to play in assisting the country to achieve its potential. Dr. Saha just shared, exposing children to different culturally and contextually relevant experiences at school helps them to recognize their own skills. If programs like Make in India, Digital India, Financial Management, just to mention a few, are to be a success, the responsibility, friends, lies on us. I, on behalf of Bluebells School International and the entire fraternity of management present with us today, extend our wholehearted gratitude to Dr. Biswajit Saha for being with us this morning. Not only did you share with us your experiences, your success stories also, which actually encourages each one of us present here to make vocational education and skill training our mission too. As you said, the basket is ready. It is now for us to decide to dip into it or to keep waiting. I don't know how many of you are aware, 75 vocational subjects that CBSE has been offering to schools for a very, very long time. It has been our pleasure to host all the participants present with us today, and we are thankful to them for attending the session. I thank the Center for Curriculum Development and Assessment for organizing this much needed webinar. I also take this opportunity to thank the entire technical committee for the smooth functioning of today's event. And as I always say, with digital dinosaurs like me. Before we close the session, I would like to pay my tribute to Ma'am Soni, our founder, a futurist so far ahead of her times, who built this institution through the turbulent post-partition era without losing sight of what the nation needed to build itself. In fact, I should say to rebuild itself and stand tall amongst others. Culturally rooted, techno-oriented, adaptable human resources who are tethered to moral, ethical, and spiritual values of our own culture. Thank you so much, everyone, for being here. And thank you so much, Dr. Saha. It was an amazing session. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Dr. Saha. Thank you, Dr. Reddy. Thank you, everybody.